that here. So first off, can look back a little bit about why we built out this feature, right? Across 3 industries, we see a lot of dock usage in. We saw the manual dispatch workflow falling short, and a common question, obviously, from end users, from you all who are supporting them, being, hey, how are we able to automatically trigger a response from the dock, whether that's in public safety and law enforcement, for a 911 call, in critical infrastructure, for a alert, or in enterprise security for someone who's maybe not supposed to be on property or is in a area that's being monitored by a fixed camera, right? So basically, you can see I've outlined some of the challenges across these different industries here, where the manual dispatch is not necessarily what we're looking for because of the value of the automated workflow, right? So we can call this a couple different things. We can call it auto dispatch. You'll see in Flight Hub 2 it's called a triggered workflow. I think marketing team's still ironing out the naming there a bit, but basically there is some trigger outside of Flight Hub 2 that is pushed to the system, and then we are able to push a drone flight out, right? So let's take a look at what this looks like in Flight Hub 2 and then show a couple examples of setting it up. So first off, where this lives is going to be in the automated workflow tab. You can see that there on the left side, and you're going to go ahead and create a workflow, right? Previously, our automated workflows, looks like backwards a slide there, but previously we just had this set up for more construction AEC side, where you could run automated mapping missions, trigger the reconstruction to happen, as well as analysis and reports. But you can see we now have a new option under triggered workflows called the automated assignment, right? So by selecting the automated assignment, you're going to see there's 3 kind of steps here to configure. The first one's going to be the trigger, so that's how the process is initiated. The second bucket there is going to be the fly to task, so how's the aircraft going to fly to the location? And then the aircraft action, right? What is the aircraft going to do when it arrives at that location? So we're going to dive into each of these 3 options here. First one being the trigger. So if you select trigger, you can do this in Flight Hub 2 if you want to follow along as well, just to see what it looks like. But you'll select trigger, and then if you would like to do a automated trigger, you can select project members who are going to receive the notification and how long it will be until the alert expires. And then the auto trigger, if you have that selected, it's going to go ahead and be initiated through a post message that is sent to Flight Hub 2, right? So you're going to be sending an API, a post message to Flight Hub 2. If you go ahead and check manual trigger instead and uncheck auto trigger, it will be initiated by simply right-clicking on the map, right? So you could even leave both of these options on as well, but if you didn't want to use the API and you still wanted to use the new alert system here, you can set this manual trigger up to be another option instead of just flying to the location. And then next up we have our device assignment mode, right? You can have, you select system recommended, and that's just going to automatically designate a device. Or you can select manual selection, and from there you could either always have the system ask you which aircraft to use, or you could designate a specific dock that's always used, right? Maybe you have a security camera that's right next to a dock, and you know it's always going to be this dock, so you can go ahead and select it. Or you can have the system always ask you which aircraft to use if you want a kind of prompt there in between a dock automatically launching, right? The always ask me which aircraft to use can be nice there, just because you may not want the dock to automatically launch on alert without a operator going and confirming that. So we've now configured our trigger, right? And we'll show the manual and automatic options here later. But we're now moving to this middle section here, which is how are we flying there, right? So if you've used Flight Hub 2 before, this should look fairly familiar with the fly to task, right? You can see really outlined here on the right side, nice graphic, right? What altitude does the drone go up to? When it gets to the location, what should the final altitude be? What's our return to home altitude if we need to initiate that due to the signal being lost? And then how far away do you want the drone offset from the location when it arrives, right? Because oftentimes maybe we want to set up an orbit or something, or it's better to be like backed off a bit to view it rather than directly above. So we do have the option to set up a bit of a horizontal distance from the incident point there. Optimal route planning would be enabled if you want the drone to choose the optimal route around obstructions or elevation data that you have as part of your project. And then you can enable recording from the aircraft itself as soon as it takes off from the dock if you would like. So it'd be recording basically going the way there, that raw video onto the aircraft itself. Previously I've been able to set up the recording of the live stream on FlightHub 2 itself in your project settings. Okay. Next up here, oh, no, click on that. What am I missing? Ah, there we go. Bucket 3 here, the aircraft action, right? What do we do when the aircraft gets here? We have these pre-configured action templates you can select from, right? Like record video while the point of interest is going on. So that automatically says, hey, we get there, let's face the destination, let's start recording, let's start in orbit. You can change the speed. You've already set the radius in the previous step. You can say how long you want it to do that for, when do you want it to stop recording, and then return to home. Obviously, at any point here, you can take manual control from the virtual cockpit as well, but you could also just sit there watching as well and let the automated workflow take place. Maybe you're watching the POI here and everything's okay, so you're fine for the drone to just watch it for 2 minutes and then head back to the dock as well. If you wanted to go ahead and configure the automated dispatch, you can see what that looks like here at our HTT request example, right? You're going to need a system with the post capability here. You can put the body as a JSON format. You need network access to the FlightHub 2 endpoint as well. From FlightHub 2, you're going to be getting the user token, the project UUID, and the workflow UUID. These are some of the errors you could get back for bad request, unauthorized, mismatch, or server error. Ideally, you should be getting the 200 for OK back if you follow our instructions here, right? But you can see up top the actual address we're going to use. This should be -US or -EU based on which server you're using. And we can see our headers and the body here. Show an example here, right? We go into Postman, we send that over. We see, bang, the alert pops up. I'm going to select the dock and assign it in. It's going to go ahead and open up my virtual cockpit here in another tab. And then I'll be able to watch the drone automatically respond. You'll see, I think the last video was a little behind on the actual update version as well, but you'll see we actually get a alerts shown in AR for the video camera here as well. Drone's already launched. It gives me the address of that lat long I pushed, and you can see the nice red column in the sky there as well with the alert information.